We're gonna have a Kickturn party tonight. All right.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Kickturn Party.
Welcome back to Kickturn Party. This episode, we've got our good friend, Joe Bowers. Some of you might know him. Some of you might not. He is a Tennessee legend and a skate industry maven. This guy has been in the skate industry for what, Joe, the last 30 years or so? 35 years in the skate industry. So this guy knows a lot about what's going on throughout all the forming of the skate industry, when it died, when it came back, and where it is now. So we're going to have some conversations with him. We're going to show some old videos of his ramp here in Tennessee, and we're going to talk about what his adventures have been since then.
I've heard a lot about you, Joe. I've heard stories about the ramp, so you're a legend in my mind.
Well, it's nice to finally meet you. That's for sure.
Everybody's here to hear about the ramp, right? And that's all I've heard about is Joe Bowers ramp. Joe Bowers ramp. It's like Johnny Paul Jason. Remember when Opie Taylor would go, Johnny Paul Jason says if you bury a quarter, it'll take a ward away. You all are like, Joe Bowers had a ramp. Joe Bowers had the best ramp in the world. Joe, we don't care about your half pipe. Joe Bowers. So let's hear about Joe Bowers ramp.
Wow.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Wow, what a lead in. Well, the ramp actually started at the base of Tommy Roach's driveway. His parents let us build a quarter pipe, and that would have been end of '78. And that ramp stayed there for about a year and a half. I graduated from high school in 1980, immediately charged off to Los Angeles, spent an entire summer skating Marina Del Rey Skate Park.
Nice.
And with the locals there. This was 1980 all by myself.
Yeah, 18 years old in Venice, Marina.
Venice Beach. That's exactly where I was.
Yeah, at Marina Del Rey.
And at that point in time, when I first moved out there, I stayed a few weeks in Venice Beach. There was somebody I knew from Oak Ridge that was actually going to school at UCLA.
Sweet.
Wow. That couldn't last very long because roommates and this and that, and I was living on the floor. Eventually got a job working at the Venice Beach summer camp and just moved my camp around from couch to couch. That's a long time ago. That's like, wow.
Yeah.
23. We had the big vert ramp finally finished. It seems like another lifetime.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, Adam, did you come down the first time we had the first half pipe before the really nice one that was a little bit
I don't think so. You were already 9, I think, by what, 24 or something like that, with a low section and a channel.
Yeah, that sounds, well, yeah, that would have been later.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about this thing upcoming, and I told her, I said, Joe was the first really rad dude I ever saw in person. And that's a true story, man. I was sitting on the rollout deck, and you did a rock and roll slide, and I don't know how long it was, but it seemed like it was the entire length of the lip, dude. It was rad, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. So it was really, really cool.
So I basically lived on the Loyola Marymount campus, which was just up on the hill from Marina Del Rey. So
Sure, yeah.
I'd ride my bike down Lincoln Boulevard every day and skate the park. And that was an amazing summer. You know, Christian Asoy, a little kid. Shugo Kubo would be at the park. All those
skating
guys.
with the locals, yeah.
I'm not afraid to chat it up with anybody, so I kind of befriended Dennis Ogden, who ran the park, and his family owned it. And when Devo was coming there that summer night to actually do the video with David Andrek and all those guys,
Right.
he told me it was cool it's cool if you want to stay. You can hang out and watch it.
Nice.
So I'm trying to hang out in the park as long as I can, and eventually here comes little Christian Asoy. He's like, Ivan says you have to leave. Well, Dennis said I could stay. He's like, no. Ivan says you have to leave. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to fight it. But as I'm leaving, here comes Mark Mothersbaugh driving up. So I got to see him, but I didn't get to hang out talked to him. So,
Cool. That's a cool story.
So you
miss.
just packed everything up. You're like, I'm going to go out and skate the best terrain in America. That was your whole intent? Nice.
Basically, at 18. With
That is
really
amazing.
no plan, no job, no nothing. Probably a couple $100 and an airline ticket to get me out there.
And a flat Powell Peralta pig of some sort, right? Or
I couldn't tell you. I know that I had that Lonnie Top board with me, so I rode that around. And I can't
Very
remember
cool.
what board I had at the park. However, after being there for a couple of weeks, because at that point in time, skateboarding is kind of dwindling down. And George Wilson was at the park a lot, the guy that you just recently had on your show.
Yeah.
And he gave me one of his boards that was cracked. So it was a Z board, but it was one of the first boards that had concave.
Nice.
So I got this board a concave board after riding a flat board forever was just insane. It took me a while to figure out, but that was my first connection with George Wilson. I mean, many years later, he worked with me in the clothing industry too. So
Yeah. So I didn't know any of this, Joe, because I only met you in '82 when I started coming to your ramp. So you went out there, and then I guess you turned around pretty much after a few months and came back.
right, one summer basically.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of the East Coast skaters did that during the '80s. They would run for one summer, and then they would come back. So that's when I first met you. Was when I'd been skating down in Nashville with Ray Underhill and Britt Parrott and Lyle Donahoe and those guys.
And you guys went through some ramps. You had one burned down.
Yeah, we had a Rampage ramp with no flat bottom in Wendell's backyard. And then we built this big, huge, nice, super nice ramp. Hadn't even got the rollout decks on. The guy next door burned it down. We built this beautiful ramp. It got burned down, and then we wound up building another ramp over in Billy Saunders' backyard, which became the NAD ramp, which was the one that Britt Parrott, Ray Underhill, myself, Lyle Donahoe, we all cut our chops on. And this was at the same time as your ramp, but that one was a little bit bigger. Yours was, what'd you say, 10?
9 foot tall.
Yeah, this one was 10 and a half. So it was
I skated Billy's ramp.
yeah, it was a great ramp.
yeah, I rode that one too.
Yeah.
And see, the first time I came and skated with you guys in Nashville, I skated Kokomo's ramp.
Kokomo's ramp was about the same size as your ramp.
Right. Almost identical.
When skateboarding died, there was this Hawaiian guy that ran the skate shop in Nashville named Kokomo. After the skate park closed down, said, sure, you guys can build a half pipe in my backyard. And so we did, me and Lyle and Ray and Britt and
Probably Wendell.
Wendell. Oh yeah, Wendell. All of us built that ramp, and we skated. And at the time, you couldn't get equipment anywhere. And so Ray had been ordering equipment from Rivergate Skate Park. When Rivergate shut down, Ray said, oh no, Rivergate's still open. And we kept ordering stuff through Eastern for a little while.
Oh, I got skating stuff.
Yeah.
I actually found a skating stuff price list not that long ago.
And so when I moved up to Knoxville, I was kind of bummed for a little bit because I was like, oh, is there a half pipe up here? Then, of course, I linked up with Brian Beauchene and Doug Walker. And I was like, oh, we got a half pipe out in Oak Ridge. I didn't have a car at the time. So it was like, well, you guys got to give me rides out to the half pipe, because there's two skaters, there's two vert skaters in town, and now there's three. So you got to keep me in on the path. That's when I first met you.
Right. So once I came back from California, Tommy Roach still had the quarter pipe at the bottom of his driveway, and I think it was 12 feet wide, maybe. I think it was pretty sure it was 12 feet wide is what we built it as. We towed that up to my backyard and convinced my parents that we're going to put this thing together and it won't last long. Build another side of the half pipe. And it was really tight, pretty scary. And I think at that time it might have been 7 feet tall at the most. And that's where they filmed the PM magazine footage. That's that little tiny ramp.
I remember skating your ramp because I would go to Robert A. Dean Sports Emporium, and you had a flyer on the wall that had like something like Sunday session or and it had your phone number. And it was like, if you want to skate with the guys, call the phone number. So I was like 13 years old or something. So I would find a way to get to your house, both the top ramp and the next ramp you build.
Put flyers up at a local store to get people to come out and skate, huh?
That was the way it was back in the 80s.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that now.
It was you wouldn't do that now. It was so underground. I see people post stuff on Facebook like, come by my ramp. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Back in the day, that's what it was, because there was 20,
Five guys.
In the greater East Tennessee area, there was 35, 40 of us.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, like how many people I could name that were really Tennessee locals that actually came to the ramp. Oh, yeah.
They go.
Then there was Jay, Brian, Doug, that whole crew. And
The Johnson City crew.
Robert. And then there was part of the Robert Traylor crew.
Yeah, well, me and Chuck Comstock. Johnny Hicks was a sort of a early street skater guy.
Yep. Who was the guy that had the ramp with the?
Oh, Greg Outlaw. Yeah.
There we go.
He had the Johnson City ramp on lockdown for us. That was a really good.
Oh yeah.
But I do
Then we
remember
had
doing
Tim
road
Troutman,
trips.
Phil Vandergriff, Chopper, who I never knew his real name. Yep. Slappy, his brother Ron.
You're talking about Slammy.
Oh, look at that.
Look at those well done kick turns. Oh, little front side air.
That ramp. I showed up after this ramp, and I'm glad I showed
think
up after this one.
That's really tight. It's like 4 feet of flat bottom. And like I say, I think it's maybe 6 feet tall. Maybe.
It's pretty small. Yeah, I can't see it being more than 7 feet tall.
I like the front side roll in though. Didn't know I was brave enough to do that on that ramp.
And you're riding a Veriflex board with Veriflex trucks. Who's that guy? Is that Jim Creed?
That is Eric Hall. I forgot Eric and his brother Lars.
You'd gone to California, you came back, and you built your first ramp. And it was just like riding Del Mar, I'm sure. And then you decided that wasn't cutting it, so you built your second ramp.
I just wanted to tell Joe, my older brother, who's 4 years older, Tom, he was like best friends with James Cree, and he helped build James' half pipe in his backyard. And I actually skated that thing. It had no flat. It was like a full pipe, but a half pipe.
Yeah, it was a rampage ramp. 9 foot transition, perfect. Wood.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of the wood that we built my ramp with came from James's ramp.
Oh, wow.
So when his ramp came down, a lot of that wood went into we rebuilt the nice version of my ramp.
Oh, okay. And I did skate Solway Ditch.
Yeah, I skated that thing a bunch too, right there at the split for Phyllis.
Yeah.
Rasky, you were in on you're Oak Ridge Bruce local.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to give you free reign on Joe for a little bit to ask him questions about, like the old days.
Well, here's a story when I first met Joe. It's pretty interesting. Sean Bates took me to Tracy Minor Skaters. Yeah, you want to come skate this ramp? I'm like, sure. So I come to the ramp with my 1978 Rocket Rocker with old gull wings and huge Kryptonics. And I was trying to ride that ramp with that. So then Sean goes, yeah, let's go to Joe's. This ramp's bigger. You got to meet Joe. So we come walking up. Joe's playing Dead Kennedys on the jam box. I'm like, oh my God, this is like so cool. Joe gives me this like look, like, who the hell is this? And it was funny. Then I tried to drop in on the small section. I ate it. And Joe goes, oh, I have a bigger board here. And he had some board with like Veriflex trucks. And that second try, I dropped in. And then actually the first punk rock album I bought was Dead Kennedys, In God We Trust. And that's the song I heard him playing when I first pulled up to his ramp, which is pretty crazy.
And it changed your life. And the next thing you know, you're almost 50 years old, covered in tattoos.
Yeah. I guess it changed everything. Yeah, for sure.
Heck yeah.
Remember that instance, but I do remember him showing up with a Tony Hawk board that was like the OG Tony Hawk Pro board, which I would hope you probably still have, Steve. But he kind of refused to really ride it. Like he didn't even want to tail drop. He was too afraid to scratch it up. It was.
No,
It was great.
you told me what to buy. So the next board I bought from Scott Miller was a 12-inch Kryptonics. That was too big. So then you said, you should get an Eric Gresham. So I bought that. Then after I got tired of that, you said, you should buy a Steve Caballero. So I bought that. And then after that, so basically anything you did, I did, you told me to do, I did. Then I'll never forget when I was on top of the vert ramp, I wanted the bomb drop and I was scared. And you go, what are you doing? Are you a wimp? You want people to call it Nebraska? So I did it, and I did it the first time. A bomb drop on your vert ramp.
Nice.
So I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You want to call it a Brasky? As I know, I did a bomb drop, and I was like, just a beginner skater, basically. I'll never forget when I learned how to drop in from the small section to the big section, because I could hang out with the big boys, right? And it was always about, I can't wait for those guys from Knoxville to show up, like Doug and Brian. Then when the punker showed up, it was hilarious. It was like, oh my God, Mad Dog and Slammy, they were shaved heads. And it was just funny. But Doug and Brian were not punk. They were rockers. I'll never forget the one time that we didn't hear punk. Brian was playing something on the radio. It was Rock 104. And I can't remember what song it was, but it was some rock song. And he started just ripping so hard, like blasting airs. And I was like, oh my God, it's the music.
Well, I remember when I hit the scene, it was very much rock and rollers and punk rockers.
How old were you when you first skated Joe's?
I was 16 years old, a sophomore in high school.
I remember meeting you, Steve, on the deck at Joe's. And you just being like standing kind of on the corner of the ramp with eyes about this big going. Like, I wasn't sure if it was like these guys are crazy and out of hand, or these guys are so cool. Or
I met you showed up with those bearings that were so loud. And I think you were riding a Mike Fulmer, and you had the fake Varnays. And I was like, so infatuated with that. It's like, oh my God, I want those sunglasses. And you got, they're cool. They're fake Varnays. You had the Peeper Keepers, the SIO berries, but I mean, I even got the SIO Berry hip pads. I mean, God, I bought stuff from Britt Parrott's. He had a little skate shop. Mad Rat's bag. I even got some Mad Rat shorts from Joe that had leopard skin on them.
That was the thing back then, because Steve Alba did it.
Everybody's gonna hang out here tonight. All right. We'll pass out in the flat. All right. Tonight. We got nothing better to do than to take 6 runs, drink a dozen brews. Don't talk about anything else. We don't wanna know. We're dedicated to beers, holes, and bros. Backside slasher, website ground, Kickturn, garbage. We'll hang out by the peanut pool all night and every night, and go someplace else and smoke and yell. It's Friday night. We got nothing better to do than take 6 runs, drink a dozen brews.